That was living in like a dream, really, that whole season. You're playing with all of your closest mates. You're just trying to push for that next thing and having that motivation to get into the next tier. Like when you're 16 years old and you started off, like you think anything is possible. So then I was thinking like we could get to the top of the English ladder and everything, like really naive 16-year-old thinking, but it was such a dream to be a part of that team and just like, this is women's football, welcome to it. And it felt like a family, like from day dot.
Georgie, the start of a summer in football is always maybe a bit of a sad time, as it's a time where we say goodbye to players. You've decided to retire from playing football. Can you talk us through that decision, please?
Yeah, so I've decided at the lovely ripe old age of 23 to retire. This is massively because of the amount of times I've headed the ball. And to think that I wouldn't come off unscathed was a bit of a thing up in the air, really. But I'm really doing it to like protect my physical health and my mental health. And I think I've got as far as I can with this team and how I can help it. And I have kind of come to the decision to retire for my own health, and just to be able to live life a little bit. Been playing here since I was 16, so having a bit of life before I settle down is how I'm going to put it.
And you haven't played for the team since January. Is that like part of your thinking going into that?
Yeah, you know, based off the fact that when we played against Hashtag, I went down with the first concussion. It was a concussion when I've had previous concussions in the past, I've never felt the way I did after that one. I literally got decked to the floor, was completely out of it. And it was quite scary, because weeks after I had what felt like a hangover for about 4 weeks, and having to then get back into the swing of things but not being 100% correct was really hard. And to then also go back to training and also deal with that was really difficult for me. Came back in January for the last 10 minutes against Sunderland, which was an absolutely brilliant game. To just play against a championship team and have the privilege to even have got on the pitch was brilliant. But I also absolutely headbutted one of their centre backs, which also gave me, I'm 99% sure, another concussion. So 2 concussions in one season, you know, it's not a good track record. We were actually sat in our community trust office and we calculated how many concussions, 4 more concussions I've had over my career, and we've decided it's 11 concussions, which is a lot of concussions to have in your career, and that's just the diagnosed ones. That's not the ones where I've absolutely drilled my head through a ball and come off a bit wobbly. So that has been a massive, it's really made me sit back and think what my life will look like long term if I continue to header that many footballs or headbutt people. And it was me thinking about my life in the future, not in the present. And it's really sad, but at the same time, I've got to look after myself.
Is this something you maybe think that's not brought up that often, especially like the women's senior game, the risk of concussion?
I think for me, I've always been that player that would go through a brick wall. We always used to say it in the team talks, and Abby would go to me like, make sure she'll header anything, she'll put her head through a wall if you told her to. And I think the older I'm getting, the more conscious I am of the long-term effects of it. I've not really heard in the WSL in terms of big concussions that have happened, but looking at other sports where there is really bad concussions and the long-term effects of that, I think that has scared me, and it's given me a bit of anxiety around what my life might look like in 20 years' time, not in 5 years' time. And like I say, I feel like I've given my all to the game since I was 16, and to be training pretty much every single day, all week, for that many seasons up until I'm 23 is a lot, as my whole life was football. So for me, this is like my next chapter. I don't feel like this is the end of my football career. It just looks it will look like a different picture. Whether it won't be playing, but maybe a bit of coaching, I think.
before we get more onto what's next for you, I want to have a moment to reflect. You've been at the club for a hell of a number of years. You made your debut, I think, when you were 16, back in that team in the 5th tier. But first, before that, you were in the GDC, where you first maybe connected with the community trust.
So I joined the GDC when I was 15. So this was when the GDC first started. And I absolutely loved it. It was being able to represent a badge that I've known since I was a kid. And it was so big for me to be able to put a shirt on that said Exeter City on. That was the biggest rewarding, most feeling I ever had. And I got to play with some friends that I play with, all of my friends, and then also girls that are in the first team now. And it was just brilliant to just be able to be a part of that environment and be a part of something that was bigger than yourself. I played with Sophie Gillies when we were 15, and we went on to win the Kicks, I think it was like the Kicks Premier Cup. There's definitely a lot of photos lingering about somewhere. And it was one of the best feelings ever to go away and win something, and to be proud of the badge that I was wearing on my chest. So that feeling kind of has stuck with me all the way through my career, and to just have access to the amazing coaches that the community trust had produced, and be able to work alongside them in what they do was a massive eye opener for the future for me.
Who would you say was like driving you at an early age to play football?
I was hoping you'd ask this question. So my dad, he's the biggest inspiration of them all when it comes to football. He literally, from when I can just about remember, when I was like 3 years old, we'd be kicking a football around the kitchen with my dad. And we also lived on a back Count Swear, when there was a massive field, and we used to just go out there and just kick a ball around. I must have joined my first team when I was about 5, and he absolutely loved it. And he was my coach for absolute years. And he's been my real rock. Oh my God, I'm so going to cry at this. He's been my absolute rock all the way through it. I wouldn't have got through my career without him at all. And my mum as well. My dad and my mum have really seen me through the highs of highs and the lowest of lows, through every injury. And yeah, they've been my absolute rock for all of this. Oh, God.
And he's a bit of a legend.
He is a bit of a legend, my dad is. He even coached Charlie when we were younger. So yeah, he taught me how to kick a football, and I'll always be grateful. Oh my God. I'll always be grateful for what he's done. And the time he's given up for it.
You had one hell of a debut season at senior level when we won the 5th tier. Yeah. Scored 13 goals from midfield as well.
Did I? God, I was good then, wasn't I?
in a really young team as well.
Yeah.
What's your memories of that title winning season?
Oh, that was living in like a dream, really, that whole season. Like, you're playing with all of your closest mates. You're just trying to push for that next thing and having that motivation to get into the next tier. Like, you honestly believe that anything is, when you're 16 years old and you started off, like, you think anything is possible. So then I was thinking, like, we could get to the top of the English ladder and everything, like, really naive 16-year-old thinking. But it was such a dream to be a part of that team, and just like, this is women's football, welcome to it. And it felt like a family, like, from day dot. And if you had one knocked down, there'd be someone there to put your arm around you and be able to pick you up off the floor. And I can't believe I've scored that many goals. Like, whew, sheesh, that is a lot of goals for me. And yeah, I, from day dot, just loved representing the club, and that feeling when we won in the Cully changing rooms, and everyone's got the champagne bottles breaking out, and we're lifting the trophy up. We played against, I remember the game so well, it was against Keynsham, was our last game of that season. And I just, this overwhelming feeling of like honour and pride was like what really resonated with that season for me. And to be coached by the amazing coaching staff that we had there, I was just absolutely, honestly, that I'm speechless at that season. To be fair, it's been the same for the last few seasons since we got promoted to Tier 3. But yeah, so that's really stuck with me throughout my career, and being able to see what we can achieve. And yeah, honestly, it's so impressive to see where we started with like our dads as like fans. We had a big group of dads that would come across and watch us. And then now to like selling out St James's Park, like it was unheard of to me. If you would have told me that at 16 years old, that we were going to end up trying almost filling up the whole stadium, I would have gone, not a chance does that happen. And look where we are now.
It was around that time as well you started playing for England colleges.
Yeah, so when I played for England colleges, it was honestly one of the biggest, most proudest moments of myself. Not only was it proud for everyone else around me, but for me, like in personal pride, that was the biggest thing. Like to represent my country in something and be able to just be at the top level of the game at that age. And I played against Man City, Man United, and like teams that I never thought I would ever play against, even though they might have been their under 21s teams. Like I never thought I'd have the opportunity to play against some of the best. But if I didn't have the football club and the kind of coaching staff that I had driving me to that standard, I wouldn't have got in and been able to be exposed to those experiences. Like being able to go and play abroad, like I played over in Italy on tour for them, and it was such a pride-filled moment for me, and it really was the pinnacle for me being able to put something that said England on. For me, I come from, I'm a local girl from Exeter. I didn't have a lot of role models growing up in terms of women's football. And to me, like none of that was ever achievable. I thought it was too far away for me to be able to even represent my country. So to have even done that and got to that point was like an absolute miracle. It was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And to be captain of the team as well when we played against Man United and the Man Cities and all the big teams. So, yeah, and to be able to travel up and down the country was huge. Like, it was absolutely mind-boggling as a 17-year-old girl going up to, like, the Man Uniteds, the Man Cities, going to the Etihad and playing in the Academy Stadium. Like, it was absolutely a miracle and a dream for me that I never thought was going to come true. Coming from the backfield of Exeter, and you know, you think St James's Park is like the biggest thing ever, but then you go to one of those places and you think, oh wow, like I've done well for myself here, like I've done well. But yeah, I wouldn't have been able to get to that point without Abby, Britton and Aaron and Wakers, to be fair. So I wouldn't have been able to get through to that because they were my college coaches. So I've had Abby and Aaron since I was 16. When I was at the GDC, and if they didn't push and drive me into that kind of the trials and stuff for that, I wouldn't have ever achieved it. So yeah, big thank you to the both of them.
After that, you had a few years away from the club, played for Cheltenham, TNS, Forest Green. Was that almost like a nice challenge to try something outside of your comfort zone? Yeah,
so I went away to university. So I went away and did my undergraduate degree and my master's degree. And it was definitely an eye-opener and expanding my horizons to like work with different coaches and different teams and different personnel. But nothing ever really felt like home, which really resonated, like really stuck with me, that it didn't feel like Exeter City. And when I thought my kind of end of football was coming to an end at Forest Green, I got a lovely call from Abby Britton going, that I really think you should come back and come help us get promoted into Tier 3. And it was the best phone call of my life, to be honest with you. It changed everything. That was the decider of whether I moved, whether I stayed up north or I was going to come back down home. And honestly, if that phone call was one of the most important phone calls of my life. And then here I am, sadly retiring, but also still not going to be saying goodbye to everything at the club or the city itself.
And you achieved that goal as well that she asked you to help with.
Yeah.
Right.
Ever since I left, it was always a prospect to be able to get promoted into that Tier 3. And, you know, when I was playing for Cheltenham, played against City, like they were so close to it every single time. And to just be a part of that squad that brought it home, like, I think that was one of the best days of my life. I honestly think playing Bournemouth at Exwick, like I can just see it now and like I can visualise it, and just the feeling around the ground and how many people we had there, and the kind of build up was like just so, like you had butterflies like in your stomach, the thought of it, and I still get butterflies now from it. And the best thing that I feel like I contributed was I got fouled on the edge of the 18-yard box to then absolutely lash it to Jenna, and then Jenna be took out, which then set up our lovely goal for Zoe Cunningham. So I'm going to say that I played a very small part in that goal because I got fouled and probably could have been concussion because I definitely got headbutted. But I honestly, going back to that, I was honestly one of the best days of my life winning that league at Exeter with everyone. I honestly, if you can't see, like, it's bringing a massive smile on my face. And if I could do it all over again, I would tomorrow if I didn't have so many concussions. The pinnacle of this.
When you rejoined the club, was that when you started working for CCT again?
So I kind of came back. I was still doing my masters at the time, but I needed to just do a little bit of coaching. That was helping out with my degree alongside. So I got a hold of the trust again. Again, I've worked all the way up from like 15 years old at the trust, coaching their little top sessions with like the babies, to like now being a part of like the GDC myself. So it's kind of come full circle, like being a GDC coach, and was one of the first few players to go through the GDC. And yeah, and then this job that I'm currently in popped up, and honestly the best thing I've ever done was apply for this job. And I think the club and playing for the club massively swayed it, and being able to help people like the trust had helped me throughout all those years was really important for me. So I started in July in this new role, which worked quite well in the pre-season and the beginning part of this season. And yeah, so I'm very thankful for the trust and the opportunities they've given me. From, like I say, working with little ones, working with adults, working with people with disabilities, it's opened my eyes to the opportunities. And I think when you're younger, you look at the world when you're 13, however old, and you think you'll be a professional footballer one day. You're not really open, your eyes aren't very open to the rest of the world. And I think the trust I will always be thankful for, because they opened my eyes to everyone and how you can support everyone in your local community and how you can impact people's lives by not just kicking a football. So I'm very proud to be a community trust employee. I was trying to think of the best word for that then.
We see you here as well at St James Park during the week. I mean, it's not like you're going to go anywhere, is it? Yeah, I'm not leaving. I will be dwaddling about. So if anyone sees me, do come say hello. You know me, talk for England at the time. But yeah, I'm not going anywhere. My face will be around. I just won't be on the pitch, sadly. To finish, obviously you spoke a bit about the supporters earlier. Do you have like a final message to them? It's from Georgie Barbour-Gresham, the player. Yeah,
I want to say the biggest thank you to everyone, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be where we are today. From our literal few fans that we used to have in Tier 5, this is going to my dad, to Sophie Gillies' dad, to like all the dads that would come to that as a little group, all of our dads that would come and support us, and then everyone who would just step through that gate and just give women's football a try. You are why we are where we are today, and that you will be the reason why we get further on in the future. So keep supporting, keep turning out for the girls, keep doing your bit for the club and turning up and come and enjoy our games. If you're seeing this video and you've never watched one of our games, do come across, because honestly it's life-changing coming and watching us. And I am truly thankful for all of the sponsors that I've had throughout the years. Diley, pointing out to you. So without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today, and I wouldn't have been the player I was without you guys. Hearing you guys shout from the sidelines, and having the unwavering support, win, lose, draw. You guys are honestly the best fans in the world, so keep doing what you're doing, and remember, you're going to be the reason why we get further up in women's football.
This is the bit where you stand on the pitch. Thank you.
Yeah, fab.